Happy Halloween. I am romance reader and reviewer Liz Donatelli. Welcome to a very tropey Halloween special episode of Reader Seeks Romance, a romance novel talk show that features entertaining interviews with authors and publishing insiders. My guest is romance editor and Romance Writing Academy founder and instructor, Jeanne De Vita. Jeanne and I chatted about romance fiction tropes. We analyzed enemies to lovers romance. We discussed potential new tropes, and we shared some Halloween candy and romance novel pairings. Enjoy. Welcome, Jeanne.
Hi, good to see you, Liz.
It is wonderful to have you back on Reader Seeks Romance for a very tropey Halloween special. What's new for Jeanne De Vita, and what's new for Romance Writing Academy?
We actually just opened a store. I adore my mug. And so if people want one just like it, we now have a store for our logo merch. And we have different variations on the logo, different color hearts, a rainbow heart, a blue one. So it's not all pink, pink, pink everywhere. It's a lot of work, but it's so fun to design, pens, pencils, all that good stuff. So we have a new workbook out, Learn to Write Your Heart Out, Romance 101 mini workbook. It's available everywhere. I think actually even bookstores are carrying it now, which is amazing. And it stands alone. It gives you some craft instruction. Actually, if you buy the paperback, there are lines so you can work some exercises and practice. Or if you do the ebook, you just work it on your own, practice your essential building blocks and all the good stuff of writing romance. And we've got a ton of new courses for Romance Academy. We've had people ask for certain things, and we have been planning, oh yes, we'll definitely do this or that, but we're ramping up our pace of working through new curriculum because people are like, we need paranormal help with serious planning. So that's been great. We love when people ask for things because we know how to prioritize.
What is a romance fiction trope?
Tropes are sort of general story types. They're easily identifiable to the consumer. So if I know I love enemies to lovers, every time I pick up a book, even if the book doesn't say on the back cover, enemies to lovers story, I'm going to be able to recognize it right away. One reason why readers love tropes is for that exact purpose. We know, oh, I'm going to like this story concept. It's my favorite sort of type of story. And then publishers, editors, like the traditional market, they know how to market it. They know, oh, ready-made audience for this. So we're comfortable with it. It can feel like, oh, isn't this overdone? This story's been told before, but nope, we love more of what we love and we want lots of it. So tropes are amazing things for writers and readers.
Let's dissect the ever popular, ubiquitous trope, enemies to lovers. What is the enemies to lovers trope? Why do writers love to write it? And why do readers love to read it?
It's probably my favorite trope. It really is. So when you have characters in a romance novel, we know that they're going to fall in love. There's going to be a love story that we're following. But there's always all this other stuff going on for the characters as well. They have other goals. So the enemies to lovers tropes takes these two characters that seem like they will never ever be able to get together. That romance is like the impossible reach because whatever else has gone on between them, they are just not feeling it, especially at the beginning. And I think readers love that trope for that reason. There's the promise of banter and drama and really deep stakes. And then the payoff and the reward when they end up together and they've overcome whatever it was that made them enemies. And now they're together and we've got the lovers part. It's so satisfying.
I particularly love enemies to lovers when it's done right because the sexual tension is just palpable throughout. And you're like, oh, the payoff is not only that they're going to fall in love, but there could be some juicy bedroom scenes. What is the single most important ingredient to writing enemies to lovers well?
Not having that enemies scenario be too superficial. Are they really enemies or did they just have a misunderstanding? You don't want it to be shallow or easily fixed. Otherwise, you can't sustain that really exciting drama through the whole book. So the payoff is big. They got to really not like each other. They've got to have some history, stuff that's happened, make it really, really enticing.
When I talk to other romance readers, they love enemies to lovers romance, but they hate in real life, if their boyfriend or their girlfriend, gives them trouble or acts like an alpha, it's like, no, no, but they love reading it. So what's that? There's a disparity between what we love to read in romance novels and what we'll put up with in real life. Do you have any insights to share on that?
I think you've pretty much described the entire genre of romance, that all of our reality does not fit the fantasy that we're working toward. And how many of us would really love for our significant others to act like the romance novel, love interest, where they do all the right things and it all works out in the end. But no, you have hit on a key fundamental like human psychology issue, Liz. So I applaud you. Yes, we love our enemies on the page, but not really in our actual homes.
Can you explain there's only one bed trope?
So there's only one bed means, you've got this couple, whoever your romantic leads are, and for some reason they're thrown into a situation, the dark and stormy night, or the car broke down. So they have to spend a night or a time together in the same place, but nudge, nudge, there's only one bed. So they're going to have to share it. And the payoff, we hope, exactly, is that it's a lot more fun than my little pumpkin coffin. You wouldn't expect it to be too fun in there, but in the real romance novel, when there's only one bed, you can hope that, it's an exciting time for both characters.
There's only one bed would tie into then forced proximity, correct? It would kind of goes together.
Definitely.
Yeah. So usually if there's forced proximity at some point, there's only going to be one bed, Awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that too.
Forced proximity could be a lot of other things too, though. It could be they're stuck in a car, or they're stuck in a conference room or a meeting. I mean, you can really play these tropes out far beyond what, oh yeah, the snowy cabin, definitely forced proximity, but it can also be sort of like micro forced proximity.
And forced proximity, it does sound kind of harsh. It's also called other things, correct? Like stuck together. Are there any other ways of describing it?
That's what I think of as stuck together. That's sort of like the sweet, cuddly version of like forced proximity, which
right, because that sounds right. It sounds too aggressive. So fake relationships is another popular trope that I personally am kind of 50-50 on. It's really easy to mess that up, I've noticed. What is the biggest misstep a writer can make in navigating this particular narrative?
Fake relationships are so much fun only when there's really something that forces the people to pursue that fake relationship. So you don't want it to feel coincidental or accidental, like, oh, let's just pretend we're in a but why? Is there anything that's lost or gained if we drop this facade, So that would be the thing. If I'm writing a fake relationship, I want to make sure I'm really pulling the wool over someone's eyes, not the reader, but in the story, in the universe of my plot.
I've noticed that sometimes the parameters of that fake relationship continue to change throughout the book. And hard, fast rules are not always maintained. And that for me ruins it when it's like, I don't know what's going on now. Is there an existing trope that you would like to see written into more romance novels?
Yes. I think so many of the tropes are being reshaped by like more diverse storytelling. So like I really love classic retellings, like retellings of fairy tales or classic novels, especially bringing to a forefront a completely new perspective, or even sort of a retelling that's culturally or socially new and different for the American reading audience or the English speaking reading, whoever you're writing for. So I think retellings, not just of like what you would expect, like, oh, Beauty and the Beast retelling, but even of just sort of classic myths, classic stories. I would love to see tons more of those.
Are there tropes that have been used increasingly less over time?
There are a number, actually. And I think whether or not it's like which comes first, does the market change or does what people want to read change? And then we see them buying them less. But I think like the way that we're perceiving virginity, so like Taming the Virgin or all of the, like those are just, now they're almost a taboo, trope now. So you're really not seeing those mainstream, anything that's sort of culturally narrow or like very out of touch. I think we joked about this in the past, but my Mom wrote a few chic books back in the day that, you know, we're not doing those anymore. So those kind of tropes were like billionaire, sure, but maybe not the, billionaire chic. We're not seeing that. And that's, I think it's fine. It's a good thing. There's also tropes that seem to be gaining an audience in other areas that are kind of surprising, but not like the bully. Have you heard about bully romance or things like that?
No.
I know.
Hell, I'm intrigued, Jeannie.
I have to be honest though, I have not read any, because for me the trope of the bully is a little bit off-putting, except I know that what makes them so fulfilling to read is that redemption.
So bully in that the person falls in love with the person who used to bully them type of thing. So is this something that takes you from childhood, like it's a childhood backstory of bullying, and then, oh, I met my childhood bully and she or he is hot and a different type of person, and now let's get together? Is that okay? I could maybe get behind that.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that, but it could also be sort of a spin on Fish Out of Water. Like, we're adults, we both work in the same place, and there's just some jerk who constantly is in my face or minimizing me. And then there's a redemption arc. So, sort of a little subset, maybe, of enemies to lovers is that bullying part.
But I'd like to see some male virgins. I think that would be kind of refreshing. Would it catch on? I don't know.
I definitely think it depends on the writer, and even sometimes, like, we approach topics in our subgenres in a way that makes them much more palatable than if it was like pure contemporary. So like fantasy, science fiction, paranormal, like a virgin shifter would be super cool.
That leads me into unicorn shapeshifters falling for their hunter.
Oh no, that could definitely be enemies to lovers. That could be bully redemption. You've hit on all of it.
I'm really obsessed right now with delivery drivers. They're the only people, I swear, the only people I see every single day next to my husband. So I'm thinking a trope that incorporates delivery drivers. Finding a love match with lonely, homebound customers.
Come on in,
That
I'm
could,
home.
evolve into some erotic delivery truck sex. Or maybe getting locked in a delivery truck, forced proximity, stuck together.
Liz, this whole pandemic is just going to give birth to all these new tropes, and I think you're leading the forefront. You need
A.M. Arthur's Hard Ride, part of Clean Slate Ranch series, a profoundly touching gay cowboy romance that can best be enjoyed by pairing it with Charleston Chew, a candy that you must gnaw on to eat, much like the beef jerky that cowboy ranch hands enjoy.
Well, there's a scene in Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I adore it so much, and in that book, the main characters actually destroy a $75,000 cake, spoiler alert. And so I feel like a pumpkin cupcake, anything that's floofy and frosted, maybe you wouldn't get it in your trick or treat bag, but definitely this time of year, all I can picture is like the mess of frosting with that amazing scene. That would be a great pairing.
Triple knockout in the Make Mine a Menage series.
Love it.
By Jody Redford, an author I have dubbed as the Queen of Kink. This off-limits polyamory romance can best be enjoyed by eating good and plenty. Good sex and plenty of it.
So Sally Thorne of Hating Game, 99% Mine.
Mm-hmm.
Her main character in 99% Mine is a sugar addict. So she's constantly like eating candy, marshmallows. So I feel like you could pretty much pull up a bag of anything with that book and it would be a beautiful pairing.
Deeply emotional lesbian romance, One Small Step by M.A. Binfield, pairs well with the sophisticated, complex depth of flavor provided by Ferrero Rocher. Yes, I do consider that a Halloween candy. Well, Jeannie, as always, it has been a pleasure to share some Zoom time with you.
Thank you. This was so fun. This was so great. I love your costume.
What costume?